During the winter of 58 to 57 BC, Julius Caesar received reports that the Belgae tribes were forming a coalition, motivated by their apprehension of possible Roman interference in their affairs. This coalition included several tribes: the Bellovaci, Suessiones, Nervii, Atrebates, Morini, Eburones. Leadership of the alliance was under Galba, the king of the Suessiones. These rumors provided Caesar with a strategic pretext to extend Roman control beyond central Gaul. To this end, Caesar raised 2 additional legions in Cisalpine Gaul, the XIII and XIV, and successfully persuaded the Remi tribe to align with him. In retaliation, the Belgae and other Celtic tribes launched an attack on Bibrax, the oppidum of the Remi, located near the River Ain, then known as the Axona. In response, Caesar moved his forces into Remi territory and established a camp on a hill, strategically positioning his back to the Axona for defensive purposes. He also dispatched skirmishers to aid in the defense of Bibrax. When the Belgae attempted to assault the oppidum and noticed the presence of Roman forces, they realized Caesar was nearby. Abandoning the siege, they advanced towards Caesar's camp, eventually encamping their army within 2 Roman miles of his position. Although initially hesitant to engage in battle, Caesar observed minor cavalry skirmishes between the camps, which convinced him that his troops were not inferior to the Belgae. Consequently, he resolved to engage in a pitched battle. Given that Caesar's forces were outnumbered and at risk of being outflanked, he implemented defensive measures by having his army construct 2 trenches, each 400 paces long, on either side of the plain in front of the Roman camp. At the ends of these trenches, Caesar ordered the construction of small forts in which he stationed his artillery. With these fortifications in place, he left 2 legions in reserve within the camp and arranged the remaining 6 legions in battle formation. The enemy forces mirrored this arrangement. A key feature of the battlefield was a small marsh situated between the 2 armies. Both sides were keenly aware that whoever attempted to cross the marsh first would likely become disordered, making them vulnerable to attack. This anticipation created a tense standoff. The battle commenced with cavalry skirmishes, although neither side ventured to cross the marsh. According to Caesar, his forces performed favorably during these initial engagements, after which he led them back to the camp. After Caesar's maneuver, the Belgic forces attempted to circumvent the Roman camp and approach it from the rear. The back of the camp was bordered by the River Axona, and the Belgae aimed to attack through a single ford in the river. Caesar reports that their plan was to lead part of their force across the bridge and either storm the camp or cut off the Romans from the territory on the opposite side of the river. This strategy would deprive the Romans of access to foraging lands and prevent them from assisting the Remi tribe, whose lands the Belgae intended to plunder, as previously mentioned. To counter this maneuver, Caesar dispatched his light infantry and cavalry to navigate the challenging terrain, as it would have been more difficult for the heavy infantry to do so. Informed of the situation by his legate, Titurius, Caesar quickly led his cavalry, along with light-armed Numidians, slingers, and archers, across the bridge to confront the enemy. A fierce battle ensued at the ford. Caesar's forces attacking the disorganized Belgic troops in the river inflicted heavy casualties. Using their superior number of missiles, the Romans drove back the rest of the enemy, who, despite their courage, attempted to cross over the bodies of their fallen comrades. Those Belgic soldiers who had managed to cross the river were surrounded by Roman cavalry and cut down. Dismayed by the ferocity of Caesar's attack and their subsequent failure to either storm the camp or block the Romans from crossing the river, the Belgic forces retreated to their camp. They then convened a council of war and promptly decided to return to their home territories, where they believed they would be better positioned to engage Caesar's advancing army. The Belgic forces departed their camp in such a rushed and disorganized manner that to the Roman soldiers it appeared more like a panicked retreat. However, since Caesar was uncertain of the exact reason for their departure, he chose not to pursue them immediately, fearing the possibility of an ambush. The following day, after receiving reports from his scouts confirming that the Belgic forces were indeed in full retreat, Caesar ordered 3 legions and all his cavalry to attack the rear of the Belgic column. According to Caesar's account, the Roman forces inflicted significant casualties, killing as many men as daylight permitted. The attack was conducted without any risk to the Romans, as the surprised Belgic forces, unable to maintain their ranks, sought safety in flight.